welcome you to the State of the Village of Gurnee. I'm Mayor Tom Hood. I'd like to welcome you here. It's really a time to celebrate it. Someone was asking me, so why do you do this? What happens? And I think so many of us in the village are going 100 miles an hour trying to accomplish all those things that we want to get done, and we don't take the moment to take a breath, to take a look at what happened in the past year. That's really what this is about, largely to take a look in the last 2025 and then to look forward in 2026 a little bit. So as part of that, it's really a time for me to give credit for those in 2025 for the work they did, for the things that have been accomplished. And the place that I start with that is Jesus, is that Jesus gave me the very breath I breathe and has shaped each one of us, and every good thing comes from him. So what I talk about tonight and talk about all the great things that have happened, that undergirds the things that I recognize happens in each one of us. And it's just been a pleasure to know that that's true. And first place I'd like to start with the people that I work with that I can see, right, are the trustees. And the trustees, for those that know them, are a blessing to work with. They have experience, they are dedicated, they have passion in representing the residents of the village of Gurnee, and I get to see that up close and personal, and I count that as an honor for me to be able to work with each one of them. So many years are represented in each one of them in terms of what they've given to Gurnee. It's pretty amazing, including our clerk, Andy Harris. Right? So also, as far as credit is concerned, is going to our staff and employees. Also, as being mayor, has been giving me the opportunity to be able to work closely with them and to see on a day-to-day basis what they bring. And it's nothing short of amazing to see how committed they are to doing their job. It's important to them. It's not just another job, it's a career. And I really appreciate that. And for some of us out there, you get to see one-offs. You might get to see hopefully not, an ambulance come to your house or a police officer pull you over. You'll get to see their up close and personal professionalism and their dedication. And this is just a time for me to say thank you to the village administrator, Pat Mutz, for the leadership he provides to our community and to these staff people. There's 250 employees approximately, so a lot of people to keep track of. And in a village that has over 30,000 residents, 23 million visitors, 13.5 square miles to keep track of, there's a lot to do. And as you can imagine, as you begin to think about what goes on in the village and what actually occurs, whether it's turning the water on in the morning, whether it's going through a plowed street, any of those things have been well thought out and well planned and executed by a group of individuals that care about their residents. And I just consider myself, being a lifelong resident of the village of Gurnee, to be blessed by being part of that group, that team. Also, we experience a partnership with a number of other people in town. And again, it's a pleasure to work with our park district, a pleasure to work with our school districts, all three of them, a pleasure to work with the library. And it really has been an experience for me to be able to get to know them better as well. The township as well has been a great place for us to be able to work together, whether it's events that we work together on or whether it's just serving the residents in terms of being able to do things together on something. A phrase that oftentimes would come up is the phrase better together, and that's really true. I've probably more in my life been more individualistic in a lot of ways. In my law practice, I was an individual lawyer with no secretary for many, many, many years. It's like if it came into my office, it had to be done by me. And with the village, guess what? That doesn't happen. It can't just be done by one person. It has to be done by all of us. And if we're not relying on everybody, we're not reaching out to our partners, then it's done poorly. And in the village of Gurnee, I think when you talk to our different partners, I think you'll find that it's a pleasure and maybe not the same as some other communities actually experience, but in our community, we experience that great partnership with them. Also with our legislators as well, that whether it's the county board, whether it's our state reps, whether it's the senators or congressmen, is that having relationships with them is important because that is able to allow us to be able to get the job done. And one of the blessings we have at the village level is that we can afford to not be a Republican or a Democrat. And in this day and age, that's highly important to me because I want to be able to work with our legislators and really not have them think about whether I am one or the other. Whether that would make a difference or not, I don't know, but there's no sense in adding that to the equation, right? Is that really something you really need to think about when the police come to your door or when the water turns on or the snow is plowed? It really shouldn't enter into the equation, right? It's something that really should be done without partisanship, and I'm thankful that we're able to do it that way. And again, I'd say is that we're better together. So we have a short video that 7Cs put together that for us, and they've done a lot of great things for us. It provides just a short 2 or 3 minutes of showing a little bit of Gurnee. So Matt, if you could. But it's really a community of opportunity to the people that live here and the visitors that come here as well.
The city itself is amazing. It's very diverse, and it's just wonderful that we get to be a part of meeting all these people.
Real and genuine young people actually make a change and difference in their local community.
As we've grown, we've had a number of subdivisions that have added parks. Our park district does a great job.
Our staff and our board really do a good job and take pride in listening to the community and letting our program being driven by the community. We know that people are coming to the Park District for enjoyment, so we make sure that every experience has a bit of fun in it.
So we work really well as a community and as a village. We have Gurnee get-togethers where we meet with different neighborhoods and different communities, especially the block parties, where we get to go throughout the entire community and meet all the residents. That's how we stay engaged between the village, the police department, and the fire department. We're all out there keeping up and keeping engaged with the community.
Just being out there and being in the community for us is really important. So we find a lot of education and a lot of the stuff that we do for people really draws them in to kind of know us.
The Village of Gurnee has a flourishing business community, and it's one in which it provides many benefits. Six Flags is something that came in 1976, but now some 50 years later, I can see that they've been a great partner. These partners, Six Flags, Gurnee Mills, Great Wolf, they provide a great service. We work well with them.
As other agencies deal with their communities and they deal with the residents every day, we have an opportunity to deal with people from other communities.
Gurnee Days was formed more than 50 years ago. It's a fun time to get together to recognize and celebrate what we have and to see our neighbors. We want people to take that opportunity and time to enjoy each other.
There's so much that goes into planning every detail of Gurnee Days between the Park District and the village, but in the end, there's really something for everybody, and it's a great opportunity for friends, family, and community to just come together and celebrate the year.
We are proud that so many businesses are choosing the Village of Gurnee, as well as many of the businesses in town that are expanding, just showing that Gurnee is a great place to be. Gurnee sells itself, I think, in a lot of ways. I think Economic Development Director Ellen Dean she does an awesome job. Has been with us for 10 years, and she'd tell you that that's the case. That we have to sell, we have to be out there and be proactive, but at the end of the day, the people that live here and the businesses that are here do amazing jobs in terms of interacting and engaging with the residents and with those that visit. The Village of Gurnee has a specific need for leaning into their businesses, and that's because we don't have a tax. You hear that repeatedly. We don't have a real estate tax. And people say, well, why is my real estate tax bill so high? And it's like, well, we're not contributing to that, and we look to other places for our revenue, and that's to our businesses largely. So for us, if we don't pay attention to our businesses and our revenue declines, then our services would decline as well. So for us, we spend a lot of time and a lot of effort investing in our businesses and paying attention to them, encouraging them, and it's paid great dividends for us. The businesses in town, there's 1,260 businesses, believe it or not, and as we go out and visit them and see them, they have such a wide variety or area in which they cover through, for instance, I do what's called Tom's Tours, where I go out and visit with businesses with a number of trustees and other members of our staff to see what they do. And it's amazing sometimes. It's like, did you know that we have a pizza factory in town? Do you know that there's just any number of small businesses where business people are really proud of what they do? That's probably what remains with me is as we talk with them, no matter what they do, bubble wrap, you can pick it and they do it, and they are proud of their bubble wrap business. They're proud of the food they serve. And that's important to me because when you meet with customers and do a good job, then that says something about the village in which they're located. But there's also balance that I think the trustees take into consideration as well as myself. And that's not necessarily that we have open season for businesses where they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, and we'll take whatever they've got. We have to be mindful of the residents in town. We have to be mindful of the congestion it causes. So in terms of what we select and how we go about doing that, we're able to be selective more and more with our businesses, and that's really helpful, I think, for our residents, that they're able to have a wide degree of being able to select different things in town, but at the same time, it's not overburdening on their day-to-day life. We've done a number of things that would help along those lines, and that's really to talk about the code enforcement, more sometimes the negative side of things. There's just people in town that don't always follow the rules, and we have to address that. And I know that sometimes as State of the Village, I'd be guilty of talking about all the great things in town, and there's a lot to talk about. But also there's times in town that are challenging for us. And certainly that's one of them, is that there's some businesses and some residents that don't necessarily follow the rules or help their neighbors, and we have to ever so lovingly encourage them to do the right thing. And we try our best at doing that, and we're always open and available for you to contact us, especially through our portal, if there are some things that you observe where we could do a better job, or our neighbors could do a better job, or our businesses could do a better job. We know that we're not perfect. That's why we get another shot at this in 2026 to see if our State of the Village next year can be as glowing as this one is. So one of the things we're just talking about businesses, we've added a new tool, kind of marveling over what it does or what it can do. And this tool allows us to see what businesses in town are actually doing in terms of foot traffic and also revenue. And again, I'll give credit to Ellen Dean talking us into purchasing this software device. And today, I've heard a hard and fast way in which it's being used, and it'll be actually the person that we're giving an award to. Teriyaki Madness indicated that they changed their advertising strategy because of that particular piece of information, recognizing where their customers were coming from. And this is something that the village likes to do, is that we like to reach out to our businesses and give actual help. It's not just attaboys, it's more like, how can we help? How can we help advertise? How can we help do your business so that you're more successful, so that we can then be more successful as a village? And as you look at that list, there's some things that maybe aren't so surprising. Six Flags is the #1 attraction for foot traffic in the state of Illinois, 1 out of 655. Great Wolf is 1 out of 95. Denny's, believe it or not, is 1 out of 39 in the state of Illinois. They're the top Denny's restaurant in the state of Illinois. So people say, wow, how could that possibly be? I've never been in Denny's. So it's like, well, obviously you've been missing out, is that Denny's is knocking it out of the park. And it's a tool you can imagine that as we talk to new businesses, and they might say to us, well, you know, how successful can we be? Well, let us give you a list. Portillo's is #1 out of 99 out of all of their stores. They're the #1 store out of all of their stores. So people say, how could that be? Isn't Schaumburg really busy and going through all that? No, Gurnee's better. So we like to brag, but there's an end to our bragging, right? Is that we want good quality businesses to come to town and generate revenue so that our residents are able to get really good village services. That's the end game, right? So we do the best we can with that. So I'd like to just take a moment and invite up the folks from Teriyaki Madness, Drew Phillips, the franchisee. If you could please come on up. We do these Pinnacle Awards. We started a year or two ago giving out these awards recognizing top performing businesses. And Teriyaki Madness is #1 in the state of Illinois and #5 out of 141 stores in the United States. How about that? Congratulations. This is our Pinnacle Performance Award. Thank you for being part of Gurnee. It's like sometimes we don't know how hard you guys work. Now we do. So thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Oh, you want to get a picture? Yeah, that'd be good. Act like you like each other, right? Yeah. Thank you. So continuing on the recognizing businesses, there's a partnership that we have with the Gurnee Chamber of Commerce that has really brought a great deal of dividends to us. They do a great job of touching, especially the smaller businesses, providing a place in which they can get together on a monthly basis and meet other business owners. They are the glue in a lot of ways for our business community. Just some of the things that they've done or assisted in is that this past year we had 29 ribbon cuttings. That's a lot for the queens that attend most of those, and that's a lot for me doing that while I'm fully employed, but it's fun to see. And there's been some that we attended Primark's ribbon cutting, and they had it going on. I can just tell you, it's an international company, and they were opening 2 Primarks at the same time, one in Houston, one in Gurnee. And they were competing with each other, trying to see who could get the most energy at their particular site. And they had their employees just going crazy for their grand opening. It was just fun to see their camaraderie, their teammanship, and you could see why they're so successful, just based on how they ran their grand opening. So it's been fun for me, and I think fun for staff and fun for other people just to see the success that goes on. But words are weak at times. If you just say, like I said, attaboys for good business, and the Village of Gurnee in 2021 stepped forward and decided that we wanted to put some money behind the businesses in town. If they were to improve their businesses in some way, that we'd provide a capital grant. And Matt does a great job with running that capital grant in terms of making sure that they dot their I's and cross their T's, that they're not getting something that they shouldn't. But at the same time, we have in the past, since 2021, given $1 million to our businesses in the Village of Gurnee, and that's resulted in $5 million of improvements by those same businesses. So there's a method to our madness again, is that it's not just free money, but it's money with a purpose, is that we want to see our businesses look good, we want to see them be successful, and as a partner, we want to be able to step up and be real partners. It's more than just saying good job. So that's been fun to do. So on to my office and administration. This is a little less fun than ribbon cuttings and other things. The budget process is boring, and in the Village of Gurnee, I am so thankful for a boring budget process. We have great department heads that come in well prepared. Is that right, Brian? Brian's the finance director, so he would know if that was the case or not. Both Brian and Pat Mutz might argue every once in a while with department heads about what their requests, but I could just tell you that the process is a healthy one. And it's a healthy one to get to the end result of being able to spend the money that we've been given and treat it fairly so that the money's invested in the appropriate places, that we're doing the right things with whether it's roadways or underground or money for the police department, money for the fire department. All those things have to be worked out so it all fits together. And in the end, the village board has to bless that, right? So they hear those arguments and have a presentation, actually 2 at a time. It's, I think, a really wise way of doing it, where by the time it actually comes up before the village board for a vote, almost never is there a question, because they've been all answered in advance. And I can't say that I've seen that in most villages. Usually it's a fight sometimes. And if there was a fight, the fight happened in the back room. And by the time we get out to here, those things have been ironed out. And I think that's really a good way of running government. It gives us a chance to ask hard questions without making anybody look bad. So our budget process has resulted in a AAA bond rating. It's resulted in budget awards. Again, thank you, Brian Gasnell, for those budget awards. We have the lowest debt of any city in the village of, in the state of Illinois, of any community over 25,000 people. That in addition to that, we are operating with at least 65% of our operating budget being withheld, so that in case we hit rough times, that we would have enough money to carry through and not be in a situation where we have to lay people off, do things that maybe wouldn't be so appreciated by the village residents, that we're prepared for hard times. We even have hard discussions about what would you cut. So you might say, well, we're doing great. Our budget's balanced. Everything is going well. Well, why have that conversation? It's like, well, it's a lot easier to have that conversation when things are going well than when things are going down the tubes, right? So we have those conversations with each department head to say, well, what would you cut from what your budget says? You know, if you had to let something go, lay that out. And as we sit here today, then that's something we already know. And I can say that this coming year and this 2025 was just an amazing, booming year for us. Our revenue was up. Our expenses were appropriate. It was really a great year, and 2026 looks even better. I can just thank also for the Community Development Department for the work they do. As you see the outworkings of our budget and seeing what happens in our community, they make sure that things are done right, that the development in town is appropriate. And I think that being a state far away is that oftentimes when my wife and I drive through Florida, the evidence of community development isn't always necessarily obvious, is that it seems like they don't care too much about putting businesses by residences, and maybe some aren't built so well. And here in Gurnee, that's not the case. There's been a lot of forethought by our forefathers in terms of how things have been built and how they've been developed. And we've inherited that, and it's not my intention and not staff's intention or the board's intention to do something different. We want to be able to go forward and be able to give the next generation just as good of a developed area as what we have today, and a little better. I'd also say for our IT department, I think that on my conversation with Ryan just before this, it was like, you know, for our IT department, they'd prefer not to ever be talked about. Is that that's their goal, is that they don't want to see their name in the newspaper, they don't want to see their name on my lips, they don't want to see any of that, other than that I hear that they constantly are working at trying to protect what we have, knowing that there's people doing just the opposite, that they would like to access what we have, they'd like to take what we have, and we're actively doing the opposite. And there's a lot of proactive effort that comes, and this is true across all departments, is that a lot of effort is proactive. And even so, when you end up with, at the end of the year, everything went great, it's like, well, why is that? It's because there was a lot of effort in making sure it turned out that way, and the IT department is no different. So talk a little bit about the community. There's some things that are close to my heart and has really been a great opportunity for me to be closer, and that's veterans that we've had this past year. We had the honor of being able to have 54 veterans come in, recognize them, recognize their family. And I can't ever say this enough about veterans, and that's, I was not a veteran myself, is that they've made a choice, just like police officers have, and just like firemen have, to run towards a problem so that they can save me. You know, so they have chosen to do that willingly. You know, and same with our policemen and our fire department, is that they've willingly chosen to be able to run towards problems. And that's incredibly brave and courageous, and yet that it shows that as their occupation, and I can't thank them enough for that. And that, I think, comes out with the Hometown Heroes banners, and also we had the opportunity, if you saw the plaque out front for Alan Lynch, He's a Medal of Honor recipient, and I can't say how unique that is. I didn't realize that someone living in the village of Gurnee was given, number one, he was given the Medal of Honor by President Nixon. How about that? So when's the last time you heard that name? And the history that he has, and when you read some of the things that he accomplished, and the courageous man that he is really just an honor. And he was actually over Thanksgiving, he talked to, the Gurnee Community Church serves various servicemen from the base and Navy people that had come to Thanksgiving that don't go home. And he came and spoke to them, and just to see the stars in their eyes, to see a man that had done and gone through the things they had, and they were just embarking on their own career along those lines. It was just fun to see him take it in, and it was really enjoyable to see the honor they gave him, these young people, 18, 19, 20 years old, honoring Mr. Lynch. So we also participate in a number of other things. The Gurnee Staff Awards with the school districts, they've turned that into a blessing all by itself, is that they've turned in a recognition of their teachers that has gone far beyond of what I expected it to. And 11 years ago, 12 years ago, I started this with my stepdad, Don Henderson, through the Henderson Foundation. I'll cry about so he died last 2 years ago. And he had a heart for teachers, and he put his money to it and gave us the opportunity to be able to recognize them. And I've just seen the school districts have fun with that, to point out to the rest of the school district, hey, this is what a great teacher looks like. And it's a great teaching moment, and it was just fun to do, We also do block parties. Again, Matt's intricately involved with that. We had 30 block parties this past year. A great opportunity. I'd invite anybody that lives in a neighborhood to take advantage of our $500 contribution, and you get to see fire, police, and me, or you could strike me off that, just see fire, police, whatever you like. And it's been fun to hear I've had a number of the places, neighborhoods I've talked to, they have communicated back to me their enjoyment that they've restarted their block parties that had stopped 10, 15, 20 years ago. And to see the kids out in bouncy houses and meeting the fire department and the policemen, getting to build those relationships, that's been a fun thing to do. Again, we also started Special Needs Champions, the Great Wolf Lodge. Jim is here somewhere. Oh, there you are. Is that they were recognized this past year for their interactions with the special needs community, just their employing of special needs and recognizing them. My wife Pam is here as well, and some of you might know just the heart for the special needs community that actually they're currently located at Gurnee Community Church, Big Great Lakes. They have 35 citizens, you're 40 citizens, all right. So there's a lot of people that need help, and it's been a great opportunity to bring them out, to be able to have them meet the public and also be part social gathering and also producing items that they're valuable people, that rich in a lot of ways, and yet they have difficulty sometimes communicating or interacting in ways, and it's been a good thing to support, and I just appreciate what Great Wolf has done in that regard. The Art Commission just began this last year, and I think that my thoughts, I'm not an artistic or particularly creative person, so oddly enough, I wanted to create an Art Commission. So the Gurnee has never been known to be particularly a bastion of creativity, right? It's all over the place, and in our residents, it's everywhere. But we're more known for Six Flags, Great Wolf, that Gurnee Mills, that's what we're about. And if you say performing arts, it's like, I don't know, it's not so much. But it's all over the place. I mean, our residents are everywhere that have these abilities, and the Art Commission is starting to mine that. And it's really been enjoyable to see their ideas, what they want to bring forward, and it's something that we really need to lean into. The schools do a really good job with that already, and I think just to bring it out and have it more front and center, I'm looking forward to a lot more of that in the future. And The last item in this area is it's Gurnee Cares Commission. This is something led by Trustee Kevin Woodside, and this is near and dear to my heart as well, is that a couple years ago I was speaking with a Woodland School District actually, and they were talking to me about their enrollment, and they just made a side comment to me, and their side comment is that they had 30 students that identified as homeless. And I thought, students, well that didn't, and it's Gurnee, right? So in the village of Gurnee, it's not common that we find people that are poor, right? Or that don't have the appropriate clothing or go to bed at night that are hungry, but they exist. And that's just not acceptable to me, and I don't think it's acceptable to the average person in the village of Gurnee either. I've known the people in Gurnee to be generous, to be helpful. I think this is more of a matter of bringing it to the attention of the average population to know we can do more. And that's exactly what the Gurnee Care Commission is about, is to do more. Is that we're looking to put some money behind that, as well as to stir some interest in volunteering, to bring together, whether it's churches or other nonprofits. They already do a great job. They're on the front lines, but we want to be on the front lines with them. And it's not a matter of saying it's being done poorly, it's a matter of saying we just need to do more. And I look forward to that. I look forward to that. There is some direction I find in Isaiah 58. There's a book in the Bible that talks about what happens when a person or a village pays attention to people that need help. And God says back is that you take care of them, I'll take care of you. And it's a pretty simple concept, but sometimes it's just not all about us. It needs to be about other people. So I hope to see that really be successful. We're going to see our first rounds of contributions to not-for-profits be coming up in the spring, and who knows where this will take us. The next area is the Environmental Sustainability Committee. Just thank you, Trustee Karen Thorstensen, for your leadership of that. You've done that for 6 years, 7 years. Who's counting, right? And frankly, it's one of those things, I would say that thinking about environmental items just isn't something I think about on a daily basis. It just isn't. And frankly, it needs to be. It needs to be something that we're more aware of, with the thought that leaving the world in which we live in a better place to our grandchildren than in which we received it. And at the rate that we're going, that's not necessarily the case. So I think for ESC, they've done a great job, a record number of events that they're connected with the high school. So you're working with young people at the high school at MEX that have that same interest. It's like get them when they're young and see that they would get their ideas out there. It's really a great opportunity for them. So I just really appreciate all that's happened in that group. So on to the police department. I'm going to go through just some of the highlights with the police department. There's so many things I could say about our departments, and you guys wouldn't want to stay that long. So that I would say that with the police department, the number one item that I would stand on is safety. Is that if the village of Gurnee is not safe, then everything else I've talked about or will talk about just really doesn't make any difference, right? If we live in an unsafe community, then that's why I think about businesses and how much revenue we get. It just doesn't make any difference. And that's what our police department offers, is that we think hard and long about the investment in the police department. More than $25 million of our budget's invested in the police department, and we look towards increasing that over time. That to me, it's more and more and more. That sometimes people say, well, isn't that enough? And it's like, well, when is it enough where we can be more safe with the police officers that we have today? It's not the hard tactics, it's the community development. It's the relationships they build with people to catch things before they happen. If there's more of them, then there's going to be less of the bad stuff, more of the good stuff. So to me, that investment is well placed. And that couldn't be more true with the special resource officers at our high school and our grade schools, is that we just increased another police officer. We now have 6. And that was a priority of mine because, again, as I looked at other communities or other places where things happen. I can't say that I can promise you 100% that it's not going to happen in our community where we won't have violence in our schools. But the more that we have a police presence where the police officers are building relationships and are providing a deterrent, that people get to know who police officers are, and we get to know what's happening in the school before bad things happen. And part of being courageous, some of you might know, is that as a result of some of the recent school shootings, one being Uvalde, is that the policy of the police departments across the country have largely changed to how they're going to approach a shooter. And that is that the first police officer on the scene will run towards the problem. They're not going to wait until the rest of the group shows up. And that is, in Uvalde, was a particularly bad result. And that's taught us that there needs to be some different ways in which we do things. But looking at our police officers, recognizing that they're the ones that are going to be running towards that problem, it's time to say just thank you for just taking the job and recognizing the risks that are attached to it. Also, we have had a number of new developments in terms of technology. Probably one of the favorites is our drones. Everybody's always talking about our drones and how they get there and what they do. The most recent addition has been the installation of a drone on top of Fire Station 1. Thank you, John, for allowing us to put that drone up on the Fire Station 1. He's our chief fire department. And the idea is that when a call comes in, the drone will be released to a site, and oftentimes will get there before the police officer does. And the drone will be videoing the site, being able to send that information back to the police officers that are going to the site, and also back to the police station so that they have information real time about what's going on. And this information that we have is just critical. And even the additional items, whether it's getting there fast, it's also been used to locate missing individuals. Having a heat sensor that's available so that you can actually see from the drone where there's a person in heavy trees or things like that, things that we haven't had before that allow us to do our job better. And the police department has just done a great job of being able to access those things. I'll get back to our 911 has changed as well, but I'll get back to that in a minute. On to the next slide, just with Mira, who doesn't like dogs, right? So I've found as I've gone through the community, I think 80% of our community has dogs in their house as they went up against the door and cried and screamed about why I was there, right? So is that Mira is a support dog, which is you can pet her, be nice to her, not be afraid that she's going to attack you. And we have two other dogs that I wouldn't suggest that you touch. And they're used for other purposes. They're not really in there for the support, isn't that right? So, and actually we're looking to expand that as well. There's another dog that's being looked into. So being able to marry those two things, being able to do things that maybe humans don't do as well, is that the police department is looking to be on the cutting edge. And let's see what we got next. On to the fire department. Fire department did not quite reach 8,000 service calls. John, I hold you personally accountable for not getting up to that, but 7,975, that's quite a few, right? And just a summary, and probably you'd all think this is normal thinking, right, is that our goal is to be to a scene as fast as we can with personnel that's as best trained as possible with the very best equipment. So that's our chief's job, our job to make sure as a village board that they have the money to go do that, that when they get to the scene that we know that we've got the very best because that's what we've hired, and that they've got the very best equipment because we, on an annual basis, continue to work on improving our equipment, making sure that we have the best. And in the case of the fire department, there was an addition of the Life Pack 1535, specialized piece of equipment that allows them to do even more for the patients that end up in ambulances, so that in some ways the hospital comes to the patient, so that there's ways in which we can keep people alive by the time when they get to the hospital. And isn't that the point? For those of you that vacation or have other homes in other places like in northern Wisconsin where a hospital is maybe 45 minutes away, the ambulance won't get to you for an hour, it's not good for you. I could just tell you that much. But if you're in the village of Gurnee, you're likely to have an ambulance or a police officer at your home after the call within minutes. And those are critical, especially as we incur as part of just really difficult events that we might experience for ourselves. On to the next slide, just to talk about the 9/11 Center. 911 has been talked about for years, and I just want to thank, I see Krista Caspon in our audience, just for Lake County Board Rep, and for Sandy Hart for the hard work that they've did in making this come to pass, is that there is a building they call the Rock in Libertyville, in which 30 agencies now are located for dispatch, including the Village of Gurnee. And up until recently, we had our own dispatch, and we dispatched for other communities. And the concept is that the transfer of calls from one agency to another was losing just important time. Even if it took 10 seconds or 20 seconds, whatever it was, that meant that an ambulance didn't get to your home 20 seconds later. So the purpose of this Rock, and the agencies are there, are to reduce that amount of time for those dispatching. And I appreciate the investment. We've invested as well as the Village of Gurnee, but Lake County's taken the first big step to make that happen. So I appreciate that effort. So on to the Public Works Department. Public Works Department probably sees itself as the least seen or least recognized. They're the most seen, least recognized, right? Is that they take care of our snow plowing in an awesome way. I was telling them that I had a couple of compliments for snow removal. That's rare, right? Usually you get the compliments about you took down my mailbox. And it's like, well, we promised to put it back up, but we're sorry. And it just happens, right? So they take care of our infrastructure so great. And again, I mentioned it early on, but they're the ones, Public Works is the one that is responsible for the water getting to your house. And if there's one thing that you'd miss the most, I'm guessing it's probably water. And they direct 1.3 billion gallons of water in the Village of Gurnee in a high-quality way. And we also have methods. It's not just from Lake Michigan, but we have other methods by which we can get water to your home. And I appreciate that, because I haven't had a complaint about people getting water yet, but we're ready, right? We're ready to service people appropriately. On to engineering. Engineering does a great job in terms of all that road work, our sidewalks, our water mains, and 9.5 miles of roadway. Sometimes I don't have a good measure for that, but what I do have a measure for is that there's a company that comes out that does called PCI in terms of figuring out whether our roadways are going up or going down. Are they improved or not improved? And in the last year or two, our roadways have improved by 10–12%, which is a lot. And we've invested a lot of money in that to make that happen. And at the same time, we're working on sidewalks. Trustee Quinn O'Brien has been part of a team that's working on reviewing what we can do for our being able to be more mobile in town, whether it's signage, whether it's sidewalks, things that our residents are asking for. Last year, 19,400 square feet of sidewalk, 6,000 feet of water main, just a lot to handle. And finally, I'd say about all of our departments, there's something that we all participate in and we emphasize, and that's personal contact with our residents. And we try to set up events so that our residents have an opportunity to meet police, fire, public works, and be able to talk to them and touch their vehicles and see what they do. Training in the Park in September is one of those opportunities. There's 6 times that you'll see the fire department out and the police department and public works and myself. Block parties they come to. We have an open house at Gurnee Days, blood drives, Citizen Police Academy, near and dear to my heart. If you haven't gone to the Citizens Police Academy, I'd highly recommend it. I think you'd find that being able to find out up close and personal what a police officer does, whether it's an evidence technician or a ride-along, any of those things that you can see what they go through, it'll gain you a new appreciation for what they do and what their job is. So what's next for Gurnee? Again, it's the main and the plain in a lot of ways, is that our aim, if we're aiming low, we're trying to stay out of the newspapers. If we're aiming high, we're looking to provide citizens with a great experience here in the Village of Gurnee. So that means increased capital improvements. This year, again, we will have the highest capital improvement program ever in the village's history. And that's, again, thank you to our businesses for the revenue that they provide, and thank you for staff and employees that have put this together to allow us to do so many of those improvements. That's something that sometimes we don't recognize, whether it's the roads that don't have as many bumps in it or sidewalks that we're able to walk on. Also, there's plenty of new businesses on the horizon. Gurnee Mills has just plain knocked it out of the park. So many people have talked to me about what they expect to see with Gurnee Mills. They think, well, isn't there a lot of bad things going on there? Like what? You know, it's the safest place you could be in the village of Gurnee. Really amazing. It's also the number of businesses. They're 95% occupied. Their ring road is completely occupied. There isn't a place for a business to locate in the Gurnee Mills on the outer ring road, and that hasn't been the case for 20 years. That they are amazingly able to draw, and again, Ellen Dean, you're always in front row. I can look your way and say, take part of the credit, as the village has provided a place in which the businesses want to be. And Gurnee Mills has been a great partner in that. Sky Zone is another business that's coming to Gurnee Mills. That's located down by the ice rink. It's a national organization that's similar to Launch, if you're familiar with Launch. There's also, I was dancing around this. Somebody else was getting me to dance around this new big retailer coming to town, this global furniture organization that is based in some northern country in this world. How about that? So the newspapers have called it out. We've been prohibited to talk specifically about who this retailer is. But again, it's just a good example of Sears will now be full. It'll be a place, again, Gurnee Mills has done a great job with that, but it'll be something that the community will appreciate, and I'm excited to see that happen. Other places, Seasons at Gurnee, you'll see a lot of apartment buildings being built. That really is multifamily is really the rage. Single family is not so much for us. Haraz Coffee, I could go on and list that. This past year alone, there were 120 new businesses. So you can imagine all that goes into that. So again, in summary, I would say it's better together. I enjoy this job because I get to work with so many of you. I get to enjoy to see the fruits of our labor, and that's part of really what we're doing tonight is seeing the fruits of our labor. And I pray that as you walk out your purposes, I walk out my purposes that God has planted in your life. I pray that each and every one of them would come to pass. Have a good evening.